Welcome to Mahakal Ki Samachar. I'm your host, and we are coming to you live with a special, super comprehensive explainer today. We're diving deep into the absolute biggest stories shaping our world right now. From massive political shakeups right here in Bengal to some mind-blowing global tech updates, we are unpacking the whole shebang. So let's get right into it.
Okay, really quick, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're starting with Bengal's brand new government and their very first highly impactful cabinet decisions. Then, we'll break down how they plan to actually implement those massive manifesto promises. After that, we're shifting gears to the tech world to look at some huge security surprises coming in Android 17, and finishing up with some heavyweight smartphone news. Let's do this.
All right, Section 1, Bengal's new government. Let's look at this major political shift.
So, the transition of power here has been fast, like incredibly fast. After running hard on their election manifesto, they secured the win. And literally right away, on May 9th, 2026, which actually happened to fall right on Rabindranath Tagore's birth anniversary, Suvendu Adhikari took the oath as chief minister. Then, boom, just 2 days later on May 11th, they're already holding their first cabinet meeting. That is an absolutely rapid turnaround from winning an election to actually sitting down and governing.
Now, who is actually running the show? It's a tight, focused six-member cabinet. Chief Minister Suvendu Adhikari is holding on to some heavy-hitter portfolios: home, health, and finance. Then you've got Dilip Ghosh taking charge of Panchayat and rural development, Agni Mitra Pal is heading up women and child welfare, and rounding out the team we have Ashok Chris Tanier on food and supplies, Shudaram Tudu managing tribal development, and Nisith Pramanik looking after sports and youth affairs. So a very concise team drawn from across different districts.
Moving on to Section 2, First Big Cabinet Decisions. What are the immediate actions coming out of Nibbana?
Well, they basically wasted zero time getting to work. Straight out of the gate at Nibbana, they issued some massive directives. First up, border security. They kicked off the land transfer process to the BSF for border fencing, and they slapped a strict 45-day deadline on it. Second, they officially announced the implementation of the new national criminal laws, the BNS and BNSS. Third, and this is huge for job seekers, they bumped up the state government job age limit by 5 whole years. And finally, they gave the green light to join several central welfare schemes, really leaning into that double-engine governance model.
Now, just a quick point of clarification on those criminal laws. The new state government did officially announce they're implementing the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, or BNS. But functionally, the BNS has actually already been the law of the land across all of India, and that includes West Bengal, since July 1st, 2024. State governments can't actually opt in or out of central criminal laws once Parliament notifies them. So that legal framework was already the nationwide standard before this recent state-level announcement.
Okay, another massive talking point, healthcare. The state has decided to join the center's Ayushman Bharat scheme, but they aren't scrapping the state's existing Swasthya Sathi scheme either. So how's that going to work? Well, officials are saying both schemes will just run simultaneously for now, with the eventual goal of combining them. Private hospitals are definitely happy about this, mainly because Ayushman Bharat rates tend to be about 7 to 10% higher. But on the flip side, they're also asking for solid guarantees on reimbursements for the millions of people who are still relying on Swasthya Sathi today.
And honestly, continuity of benefits is probably the biggest anxiety for citizens right now. Chief Minister Adhikari tackled this head-on, stating, and I quote, "No ongoing social welfare scheme is being discontinued," end quote. They're trying to pull off a really careful balancing act here. They want to bring in the Prime Minister's central schemes, but they know they absolutely have to maintain the incredibly popular welfare architecture that was already put in place by the previous government.
All right, Section 3, Manifesto Promises and Implementation. Let's dive into the Sankalp Patra roadmap.
Let's talk numbers, specifically 3,000. The government promised 3,000 rupees in monthly financial assistance, and it targets two massive groups. First, it's a monthly allowance aimed directly at boosting financial independence for women across the state. And second, it's an allowance for recent graduates to help support the youth, which also comes with a one-time grant for competitive exam prep. That is a huge, direct financial pledge.
And beyond the cash assistance, the manifesto locks in a 33% reservation for women in all state government jobs, and that includes the police force. That is a massive chunk of the public sector workforce. If implemented fully, this is going to completely change the gender dynamics of government employment in Bengal.
The last major political pledge we're covering today is a big one: the Uniform Civil Code. The new government has promised to actually implement the UCC in West Bengal within just 6 months of taking office. The goal they've stated is simple:
one uniform law for every citizen in Bengal. But obviously, this is going to be a massive, highly complex legislative undertaking, so we'll be watching this one very closely over the next few months.
Okay, let's switch gears. Section 4, New Surprises of Android 17. Time for some global tech updates.
So, stepping away from regional politics, let's talk about the supercomputer in your pocket. The biggest news out of Google's recent developer conference is all about Android 17, which is affectionately codenamed Cinnamon Bun. In the main focus, extreme security. They're rolling out a brand new Android OS verification tool. Basically, bad actors have been pushing out these fake, modified versions of Android that look totally legit, but are secretly scraping your data. This new tool finally gives users a built-in way to verify if their phone is running a genuine, safe, Google-approved operating system. How does it actually work under the hood? Well, Google is spinning up what they call a publicly available append-only ledger. Think of it like a completely unbreakable, permanent digital receipt book. It provides absolute cryptographic proof that Google apps and APIs are authentic. Basically, if an app says it's from Google, but it doesn't have a matching receipt on this unchangeable ledger, Google didn't make it, period. It's a total game changer for killing malware and counterfeit software.
And this isn't just theoretical, it's happening right now. Samsung just announced its One UI 9 beta is built entirely on Android 17, and it's actually rolling out in India as we speak for the Galaxy S26 series. It brings a totally redesigned quick panel, some really cool new accessibility tools like an adjustable mouse key cursor and text spotlight to make reading way easier on the eyes, and of course, it bakes in those heavy-duty network-level protections against sketchy apps that Android 17 is championing.
Finally, Section 5, Smartphone and Tech News. Let's look at some fresh hardware announcements.
So, what kind of hardware are you going to run all this new software on? Enter the brand new Vivo X300 Ultra. Guys, this phone is an absolute beast. It is rocking the bleeding-edge Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor. But the craziest part is the battery. It packs a jaw-dropping 6,600 mAh cell. That is massive. And when you do finally need to plug it in, it supports 100-watt wired and 40-watt wireless fast charging. Add in IP68 and 69 ratings for top-tier water and dust resistance, and you've got a practically indestructible flagship.
But the real star of the show with the X300 Ultra is the camera system. When you hear 200 megapixels, you usually think of just the main camera, right? Not here. This thing has a 200 megapixel primary Sony sensor plus a 200 megapixel Samsung telephoto sensor and a 50 megapixel ultra-wide just for good measure. Reviewers are going crazy over it, saying it completely changes mobile photography. It literally rivals professional DSLR setups. It is a serious photographer's absolute dream device.
So we've talked about massive governmental shifts that are going to impact millions of daily lives. And we've geeked out over the incredibly powerful tech evolving right in the palm of your hand. Which brings me to my final question for you today. What's actually going to shape your immediate future more? Is it those sweeping state policies being enacted right now, or is it that rapidly evolving tech sitting in your pocket? Something to think about. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this live explainer here on Mahakal Ki Samachar. Keep questioning, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.